Hello everyone to the June free class. So the people who will have received the kits for this class would have placed an order during last month of a minimum of $50 or more. So when you place that order, you automatically qualify for the 2-card free class. So let me just adjust this slightly. I hope that's okay. All right, so the products we're using tonight, I'll start with the stamp set. This stamp set that I'm using is called Simply Said, which is a brand new one in the catalogue, which is on page 19. So there it is, just down the bottom. This is a really great stamp set. It is $30, so it's really cost effective, but it does have all of your basics in there. It has a couple of happy birthdays, a couple of thank yous, miss you, just a note, let's celebrate thinking of you. So it does cover all of those basic sentiments that we would normally use. So if you don't have a really versatile sentiment stamp set, this one at $30 might be the way to go. It is photopolymer, so it means you can line up really easily, and it does coordinate beautifully with the ephemera packs. Now, I haven't shown you these yet, but I promise they're coming. Okay, so I want to share these different packs and also the card packs as well. So that will be coming in a Facebook Live in the next couple of weeks. Okay, so that is the stamp set, Simply Said. Hi, Mandy. Thanks for watching. Okay, moving along a little bit further with the next lot. The people who have the kits, the designer series paper in the kits are from Mediterranean Blooms. Okay, so I do have the samples of designer series paper to show you, but I just want to show you, it's on page 35, this suite, just so you know what's in it. So there's a sample page there. So this comes with designer series paper. It has coordinating embellishments, stamp set, and coordinating dies. So it is a full suite, which are some really nice products. Now, if you're not a huge fan of the fruit, so the oranges and lemons, don't worry. The other side of the paper is really amazing to use as well. So let me share this paper with you. It does come in 12 by 12 size, and it's a 12 sheet packet, and the cost is $21.75. So let me show you these papers. So one side you have a whole lot of the blue tones with different patterns, which are really versatile. So if you do really like the blues, this is the sort of paper you're going to be going for. Hi, Joe, and hello to Pam. Okay, so one side you've got your different blues, and let me just find the colours in this. So this suite of paper has, or this packet of paper has, Pumpkin Pie, Daffodil Delight, Old Olive, Garden Green, Balmy Blue, and Night of Navy. So Night of Navy is one of the blues that's been around for a really long time. So that is one side. Let me share with you the other side. So this is the side that has your oranges and lemons, and also that the floral. So that might be more like the blossom. Okay, so this side you might find not quite as versatile, but it does have a place. So as a background, and then you pop something over the top or cut out the images to use those. Really nice, versatile papers. Okay, so they are the papers that you'll find in your kits, or some of them. Okay. So let's, one more thing I want to share with you. The embossing folder that I use is called Distress Tile, which is a 3D. I'm not sure how well that's showing up. Let me open it up so maybe it's not so shiny. So it does have that different sandwich. And I do have, just on the front of mine, I've just used one of my label makers. I have indicated it's a 3D embossing folder, simply so I know what sandwich to use. Let me see, perhaps this piece of white here. I'm not even sure if that's showing up the embossing, maybe a little bit. So it is very rustic looking. It's not a perfect finish to it, which is really quite nice. It gives it, as it suggested, that distressed look. So all of these pieces for the kits that I sent out already pre-done for you. Okay, so the first card is this one just here. So we have got some of the yellow, which is I think I've used actually in the end, I have used Lolly Lemon. Okay, so it does have the Daffodil Delight, but Lolly Lemon is just a little bit lighter shade. So let's get started with this one. So in your packet, so let me just get all this out. You'll have, of course, your piece of embossed white cardstock, plus you'll have the same size that isn't embossed. So one for the inside, one for the outside. You're going to have a strip of the yellow. You're going to have 2 smaller pieces of Designer Series paper. You don't have to use what I've used. You can use the reverse side of those if you would like to. You'll have a punched out tag. You'll have 1 blue gem. You're going to have 2 pieces of baker's twine, a long and a short. Okay, so make sure you've got those sorted when the time comes to use the correct ones. And of course, you have got a Night of Navy card base, which is half a sheet of A4. Okay, let me put that about there so you can see it. And of course, starting off, you'll be folding your card base in half. If I did send these to you, there is every chance the card base has already been folded in half for you. Okay, so we'll pop that aside. So for the front, we do have a little bit of layering to do. So I'm going to start with the piece of yellow. You're going to need to grab a pair of scissors. Now, for those who are playing along, if you fall behind, don't worry. I'll be posting the replay straight away so you can watch this on replay to catch up. To do your little end for each of for the banner, I'm going to roughly find the middle and snip up maybe a little over 1/2 centimetre. And then from the corner to that little cut, I'm going to cut out that little wedge. Turn your piece of cardstock over and then cut the next piece. The reason I start with this center point, it's then my little tags or the ends of the banner are nice and even. And then go ahead and do the same for the other side. So you want to cut roughly in from the edge around the same, and then cut your little wedges or triangles out. Okay, and they should be really nice and even. Before I saw someone share this tip many years ago, I actually just snipped in from each side and they were never ever even. So I'd end up with a really short little banner rather than a nice long one. So that is a quick way of doing your banners and having it still nice and even. Okay, so that is the banner done. With your piece of embossed white cardstock, you can use either side up, you just choose. And this is going to be going into the middle. I'm going to stick that down flat. So with this, you can use double-sided tape. I'm just going to use some Tombow because I do find that when I'm sticking things over the raised parts of an embossed piece of cardstock, Tombow seems to stick really quite well. So into the middle, and of course Tombow, you can wiggle it around just a little bit to get it in the spot that you want. So around about there. Just give it a slight rub and just give it a moment for that glue to do its thing. All right. So I'm just going to set that aside for the moment. The next piece I need is my piece of the blue Designer Series paper with the slightly bigger piece. Okay, so it's not quite the width of this. So this one is 9 centimeters by 6. You can do the side that's got the lemons if you want to. You're going to need to get your nice short piece of your baker's twine that is going to sit over the top, not in the center, slightly left of center. Tuck it behind and stick it in place with a little bit of sticky tape. Use some double-sided tape if that's what you would normally use. A glue dot is another thing that you can use as well. But I have found that sticky tape is really quite easy to use. Okay, so that one is stuck in place. Very simple. Let me just check how I've stuck this down. Okay. Right, so my next bit I'm going to do is, this is not completely dry, but it certainly is well stuck. I am going to be sticking this onto my card front, and I'm going to use some Tombow. Again, if you have double-sided tape, use that. It's perfectly fine. Whichever adhesive you normally use that. Okay. So this is going onto the front, and you want to roughly center that. And again, just hold it in place just for a moment so that glue can bond properly. Okay, next bit. Your piece of blue that you've got your bit of baker's twine on, we're going to put this onto the card front using some dimensionals. And you can use standards or minis. I've been using the mini dimensionals more and more. So I think these tend to appear mostly, or in most Facebook Lives. If you struggle to pick them up, just use the pick tool end of the Take Your Pick tool. It does take all the hard work, and of course to get the backs off your dimensionals, just stab in with the piercing tool and flick those off, and they all just collect on the end of the tool. There's two there, but that's okay. There we go. And this is going to go roughly centered, as in the height of the card, but I am going to have it off center, as in I'm going to have it about 1/2 centimeter from the right hand side of the card. Okay. All right, so next piece. This one is going to go right to the edge of my white. Don't do it to the edge of the white. A bit further. So you do have all the way to the edge of the blue or the card base. This is going to be going on with, I think it's dimensionals. It was a while ago that I made these cards. Okay, it is dimensionals. So again, you can use the blue side. I particularly like this side with this small floral pattern simply because it does bring in the yellow really nicely. So again, some dimensionals. I hope you're keeping up. If not, that's okay. As I mentioned earlier, I will post this, or post the replay straight away so you can go back and catch up if you need to. Okay, so that is going to be centered over the blue piece of Designer Series paper, but I am moving this off to the left, so towards the fold in the card. Okay, next step, we need to do a stamp, and I am using the Birthday Wishes stamp. Now for both cards I am using the same stamp set, and I'm using the same color ink because both cards of course have the same products or similar products. So this is Night of Navy. If you don't have Night of Navy, you can choose a blue, a green, you could use yellow. Just have a look and see what you've got in your kit. Okay, so we've got the Happy Birthday Wishes, and onto a block. And I'm just going to grab a scrap of paper just to make sure I'm happy with the way this stamps before I stamp it onto my block. Oh, sorry, onto my my tag. That's pretty good. I think my ink pad's getting just a little bit dry, so it's probably due to be re-inked. So inking up your stamp, and of course you want to make sure that the sentiment you choose is actually going to fit on the tag. Some nice even pressure, and then you have your happy birthday or your birthday wishes. And of course, this can be made into any sort of card you like. You might want to have it as thinking of you or a get well, or you could even use it for a sympathy card. Okay, next step. I am going to be sticking this one here, onto the Piece of Designer Series paper. I'm going to stick that down flat, so I'm going to use a little bit of Tombow for that one. So I hope everyone's keeping up okay. Okay, so this will go on, and again, this is off-centered to the left of the card or towards the fold. Okay. Before I lose my little gem, which is the Night of Navy one, I'm actually going to get this onto my card front, because if I lose anything, it's going to be this. So I do have the putty end of the Take Your Pick tool, which is almost out of putty, so I'm almost due to put a new one in. Oops. Slide your little gem up and pop that in place. Okay, so the last thing I need to do, you have got your final piece of, the second last, you've got your final piece of the baker's twine. If it's a little bit curly, just grab one end, hold it between your index finger and your thumb, and just pull it through with a little bit of pressure on it. That is going to straighten out your bit of baker's twine and get some of those little curly bits out of it. So it's tying a knot. It looks something like that, and then a glue dot onto the card front. Okay, and again, Take Your Pick tool is one of your best friends when you are crafting. So I just picked up my little glue dot. That will go over the top of the other piece of baker's twine. And then my bow goes onto the front. Now you can, if you need to, trim up the ends of your baker's twine. Oh, my bow's a little skew-iff, but that's okay. Almost finished. I have my second piece of white, and this measures 10 centimeters by 14.9. Sorry, 14.4. 10 by 14.4. Okay, so which is my standard sort of measurements that I use for my mats. So again, just some Tombow. And of course, please remember when you're using Tombow, you don't need to use a lot. I have put some just around the edges and a squiggle in the middle. If you do put too much on, you'll find that it kind of oozes out and it makes everything really sticky. Okay, so this is going on the inside, around about there. So there we have card number 1 finished, or you may be close to finishing. Okay, I'm just going to pop these ones aside, and I'm going to get the next bits, or put some of these other things away first. Give you a moment to finish your card, and then we'll start the second one. All right, so for the second one, I have, of course, used the same embossing folder, the same stamp set, and the same ink pad. So these cards go really well together. So this is the finished second card. Thank you, Mandy. On the inside, we just have that white piece finished off. And of course, you can add an extra sentiment or extra stamping on the inside if you like. So for this card, let me just grab out the supplies so you know exactly what you've got. You've got the half sheet of A4 for the card base. You will have 2 pieces of white cardstock which measure 10 centimetres by 14.4, one for the inside, one for the outside. You'll have a piece of the lemon, Lolly Lemon cardstock which has been embossed with the distressed tile embossing folder ahead of time for you, and that measures 9.5 by 13.9 centimetres. Hi Diane, thanks for watching. Thank you, I'm glad you like these ones. So you do have those. You'll have a die cut circle. This is from the Spotlight on Nature. Let me just see if we can show this. There we go. That side shows the pattern a little bit better. You do have the stitched and dots or stitched sort of look around the edge. You get that from the die in one pass. Okay, and so that is just the other side, a little bit more busy pattern. If you're ever going to get dies out of the catalogue at the moment, the ones to get honestly are Spotlight Nature dies, the circles. They're fantastic. You'll also have in there a strip of white to stamp on and also to cut a banner. There is a small piece of peach pie, which is one of the new in colours. You will have 3 of these little gems which are called, let me get the name of them, they're called opal rounds, and they do have the different colours. There's clear, there's blue, and there's also yellow in the selection. And you're also going to have 2 pieces of baker's twine as well. So they're the bits you've got in your kit to make this card. Okay, of course, as always, starting off, folding your card in half. Simple. And the first thing I'm going to do, one of the pieces of white, I'm going to stick flat on the card front. And again, I'm just using a bit of Tombow. Some around each of the 4 sides. And a squiggle or 2 in the middle. And you do have a few moments just to wiggle your piece of cardstock into place if you use the Tombow. Okay, pretty simple so far. Next, you're going to need your piece of the yellow Lolly Lemon. I think it's called Lolly Lemon. I can never tell if it's Lolly Lemon or Lemon Lolly. I'll tell you in a moment. This one has really stumped me. Lemon Lolly. So it's not Lolly Lemon, it's Lemon Lolly. Yeah, I should remember that by now, but I really don't. So you need to find your shortest piece of baker's twine. And this is going to be stuck across the front of your card. So, and just stick it at the back with some sticky tape. All right, so as I said, this is Lemon Lolly. Like I said, I should not be struggling so much, but I think I called one of the new pinks we got, which is Bubble Bath. I think I called it Bubble Gum for the first few months. Anyway, that's okay. So that is quite a simple thing to do. Next, you're going to need your strip of white. And I'm going to get the Happy Birthday out of this stamp set. And I'm going to stamp this first before I cut my banner. And you will need just a slightly longer block if you're using, of course, a slightly longer sentiment. Okay. And again, I've just got my scrap of paper here just to make sure that I'm happy with making sure that's mounted straight or stamping properly. Okay. Now, if you have a newer ink pad and it's a bit squishy, you might just need to stamp off a little bit. Okay, let's see if I can stamp this straight photopolymer is fabulous for lining things up, but somehow I still managed to stamp crooked with it. That's pretty good. Okay, so in one end, so I'm choosing the left-hand side, I'm going to cut a little banner into this strip. And of course, it's exactly the same as we did for the first card. So snip in the middle, about 1/2 centimetre, and then go from the corner to that snip to cut out that little triangle. Turn over your piece of cardstock and do the exact same thing again, which gives you a nice even banner. Okay, haven't quite finished with this piece yet. As you know, I do use some of this really thin double-sided tape when I'm doing some of these things, so I am using that tonight. Now, if you don't have any of this, you can find this in some of the, obviously, craft stores, but you can get it in places like Spotlight and Kmart, those sorts of places. You can generally find the nice thin one, or one of the discount stores as well. Okay, so I've peeled up the cover on that, and I'm going to have about 1/2 centimetre showing along the bottom. You can, of course, use a bit of Tombow or something like that, but I just find that using double-sided tape is quick, easy, and it doesn't get messy. And that completes that element there, and has just that touch of colour as well. All right, so next, dimensionals to put this piece onto the card front. Okay, so you want probably one in each corner and a few in the middle if you're using the minis. You might want to use just a few less if you're using the standard size. Okay, so that's nice and quick. And of course, to get the covers off, stab into them with your pick tool and flick up those covers. Okay, then this can go onto the card front. Now you may notice that this piece is a little smaller than what it normally would be. When you use the embossing folders, this one's got a little bit more of a tight and busy pattern. The cardstock does shrink ever so slightly. So you might find it is a touch smaller than what it normally would be. Next, I'm going to put my circle on. And again, I'm using some dimensionals for this one. So a few around the outside and 1 or 2 in the middle is all you're going to need. And flicking those little covers off. So this is going to be a little higher, but I have centered it. So it is going to sit around about there. My next piece is my sentiment. Again, I'm going to use some dimensionals to stick this on. So this one's got an extra layer of dimensionals compared to the first card. Just a few pieces, that'll do, I think. Flick those little covers off, and then this is ready. Missed one. There we go. It's ready to go onto the card front. And this is going to go level. Let me see, what have I done it with? Level with the edge of the yellow. I'm going to go around about there. Okay, almost finished. A couple more little things to do on this. So get your second piece of Baker's Twine, which is a longer piece. As mentioned before, just to straighten it out, run it through your fingernail and index finger just to make it a little less curly. So with this one, you can tie the bow like I did before, or you can simply slide it underneath. I can lift it, slide it underneath the piece of Baker's Twine. There. And then you can tie your bow, and you're just going to tie it like a shoelace. actually that's exactly what you're going to tie is a shoelace. You do need that start of the knot, and then you can just finish it off and make your little bow. So there are a couple of different ways that you can use your thread. Mine is curling up a little bit. Let me try again. Now this is a really good thing to do as well if you're using a wider ribbon or a fatter ribbon, because it does help to cinch in your ribbon just a little bit. And the other thing too is then you can move that to where you want it. If you don't want that to move at all, you might want to pop a glue dot underneath it. Next I do have my little, what are these called, did I say? Opal rounds. So these are the clear ones. You may have yellow, just depends on how many I had, because I ended up making up quite a lot of kits. So you may have the clear ones or you may have the yellow. And these are going to be put, oh, if I can get this one off. There we go. So I've got these three are going on the circle. So I've got one above the sentiment, and I'm going to have two below. So they don't stand out a lot being clear. If you lucked out and got the little yellow ones, they will stand out a little bit more. Okay, almost done. We've got one more thing to do to finish off this card, and that is, of course, to stick the inside in. So you'll have your final piece of 10 centimetre by 14.4 centimetre white cardstock. Okay. And then all done. That is card number 2. Now, as I mentioned earlier, of course, you can use the reverse side of the designer series paper if you would like to. That is 100% up to you which one you'd like to use. So there are the 2 cards for this month's free class. So just to recap for those who may not know how to earn this class, during this month, if you place an order of $50 or more, you qualify for this free class. At early next month, I will prepare the kits and send them out to you or deliver them to you. So they are a lot of fun to do. You don't need a lot of supplies. You just need some basic tools. So a pair of scissors, a bone folder if you've got one. You need some basic adhesives, Tombow, glue dots, dimensionals. And that's about it. You need an ink pad of some sort. If you don't have the colour I use, choose something else. And generally all you need is a sentiment stamp set. That is all you're going to need to do these classes. So you don't need a huge amount of supplies. So thank you so much everyone for watching. Thank you to Mandy, Pam, Jo, Diane. Thanks Gay, I'm glad you could join us. So good luck with these cards. If you have any questions, please let me know. I will be posting photos of these over the next few days. And of course, I'm going to post this live video so that you can watch it again to finish off your cards if you need to. So thank you everyone. I can't think of any reminders that I have other than there is still the sale on the bundles, so the stamp set and die bundles. You can save an extra 10% on those. So that's a really lovely saving. That is through until the end of the month. So thank you everyone for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to join me. I will be back Tuesday, so I'm looking forward to seeing you all then. Thanks again everyone. Bye-bye.